It's super cold today, so I'm cozy in my hoodie and I am not mad about it. Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel, Sash Reads, and these are recommendations for the vampire prompt for the Mystic Readathon. So yes, Mystic Readathon is back. It's coming back in September and I have been chosen as one of the team leaders for Team Vampire. I am very excited. If you don't know, Mystic Readathon was created by Nell over at, is it Chapters by Nell now? She used to be Nell Diamond. I will link her down below and the announcement video. It's basically inspired by the Vampire Diaries, which is very exciting. It's one of my favorite TV shows and I'm very excited and to be on Team Vampire with my co-team leader Rainy over at Rainy Blue Reads. So I thought I would do a bit of a recommendation video for the vampire prompts as well as some of the community prompts, because for the vampire prompts you cannot stack them, you cannot double up to get hundreds of points. You only can read one book for one prompt and earn the 50 points. But for the community prompts you are able to stack them, so you could read BIPOC author with a black main character and like set in Illinois or something, and that would be 60 points because they're 20 points each. Plus, if you make it work for the vampire prompts, you can add a 50 onto that as well. So it's 110 points there. If you haven't joined a team yet, I do really recommend Team Vampire with me and Rainy. We are gonna crush it. It's gonna be super fun. If you join the Discord, there's gonna be daily trivia questions you can answer to gain points for your team. There's gonna be watch-alongs, lots of fun things happening. So make sure to check out Nell's video, find all the good stuff there. But right now, let's get into the recommendations. First prompt for Vampire is read a book with vampires, which is pretty straightforward. I have a bunch here that I have read. All of these books are ones that I have read, except some later that I will tell you about, but all of these I have read and I recommend for you to read. So first of all, Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rorick. Now, I wasn't aware that this had vampires until last October, I believe, and this has been out for a while now. This is now the traditionally published. It has been indie published for a bit. There are vampires in this. This is a fantasy world made up of a bunch of different factions. So there's witches, there's vampires, there's fae, and there's humans. Lots of, yeah, the different fantasy elements. Like if you like Sarah J. Maas, you would really enjoy this series, I believe. This feels like it's a mix of ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, and I did have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, this whole series, I've only read the first 2 books, but I am very excited to read the rest of them. Book with Vampires, this is good. This next book is actually one of my favorite books ever. It's one of the books you can read for Faction Leader Fave, so you can also earn an extra 20 points for this book, and that is These Shadows Become Her by Demi Clarissa. This is dark, so please take care of yourself if you do intend to read this book. Make sure you read all the tropes and the trigger warnings, but this does have vampires in it. He is the main love interest and I love him. Idris has my whole heart. He's such a grumpy old man. I love it. I'm actually beta reading the sequel. I don't know what I've done, but I've become one of those people who wouldn't shut up about it and wouldn't stop annoying the author. And she's like, do you want to beta read it? And I'm like, okay. So I cannot wait for you all to read the sequel once you've read this one, because what I've read so far is so good. But yeah, if you like messy characters, if you like dark, like fantasy world, if you like the hidden royalty trope and vampires, this is the book to read. This is also written by an Indigenous author as well, so you would add another 20 points for that too. Next we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a fun, goofy book when a vampire marries a werewolf for a treaty. So it's a marriage of convenience and it was just a lot of fun. It's not the best thing, but if you like a silly, goofy time, this is the book to read. The sequel comes out for this soon. I can't remember when, but yeah, you've got Lo and Misery. So Misery is the only daughter of the most powerful vampire leader, And then you've got Lo, who is the alpha of the Wares. They're mortal enemies, but they need to sign a treaty, so Misery goes for it because apparently she's not that good of a vampire. So she's like, I might as well do one thing good for my clan and marry the big bad alpha. And things go on from there. Next, we have Die For You by Lauren Jackson. This is the Bookish and Spice edition, which is so beautiful. And this was actually inspired all your fave vampire pop culture movies slash TV shows. So Twilight, Vampire Diaries, you name it. I think the author is a Stefan apologist, which I guess if you're into that, that's fine. A human girl who gets mixed up with the vampire world because her older sister and mother died in a car crash years ago. She doesn't believe her sister is dead. She believes that she's just gone missing. And so she kind of follows the trail until she meets a vampire. And we go from there. So this is the first book, and then the second book is more like a Klaus Caroline dynamic. I haven't read that one, but it is going on my TBR, so look out for that video too. Next, we have Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is the one with the cool snake sprayed edges. So this is about a human who was adopted by a big bad powerful vampire, and her whole life she's been living with the vampires, but like living on the edge of like her seat the whole time, because obviously vampires are not good for humans. There comes a time where like you have to take these trials, and if you win these trials you get one wish granted, and she's going to use that wish, she says, to become a vampire. And so her dad will finally love her and be proud of her. Her dad is the guy who like kidnapped her and adopted her, sort of thing, like the big bad vampire dude. This was a lot of fun, and I am very excited to go into the sequel later this year. Yeah, if you like trials, and if you like vampires, and if you like badass female main characters, this is the book to pick up. One last recommendation for the vampire prompt, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is a reimagining of Dracula's wives. Well, not his wives, his brides. There's a difference. It's all written in like letters too, pretty much. And it's about her life and her experienced life with Dracula and all the terrible things that he does. And her coming to terms with, hey, maybe he's a bad dude and maybe I can like be my own person. A very beautiful writing. So if you enjoy beautiful writing and if you enjoy Dracula's brides, this is a book you should pick up. For Features a Love Triangle. This one was hard because I'm not the biggest fan of love triangles, but here we are. I've been told that why chooses don't really count unless it starts off where the main conflict is she has to choose between the two. And then at the end she realizes, oh, I don't have to choose. But if it's a why choose where she's just banging everyone and not really like there's no conflict, then that's off the table. But I have a couple books here that I think could work. We've got These Hollow Vows by Lexi Bryan. It's been a long time since I've read this book. But you've got Faye, you've got like a magical world, like a magical mirror, has to, yeah, rescue her sister from a power-hungry king. And so she has to try and choose between Ronan, who is the Seelie prince, or Finn, who is the mysterious rebel leader of the Unseelie court. So I have yet to read the sequel, so I'm not sure who she chooses, but I remember having a fun time with this one. Next is Rise for the Witches by M.L. Jewell. This is a really creepy book. The main character is also messy. I love that. She's a drunk and she lives in this town where if you stay out after dark, you will probably die because there's these really scary creatures. Actually, I'll see if I've got the special edition too here. And I think she has a picture of the creatures on the back. Look at that creepy ass thing. Why would you stay out in the dark when those roam the earth at night? Honestly. But she yeah, accidentally stays out at night, and she has to run for her life, but she kind of gets saved by this dude. And he kind of tells her, hey, you're like, might be the mysterious, like the key to this mysterious thing that's happening, and we need to try and overthrow the government, sort of thing. And his brother comes along and is trying to tell him, hey, let's maybe like mellow down a bit. I believe the love triangle is between the two brothers. So if you loved that in Vampire Diaries, you're gonna love that in Rise of the Witches. Next, we've got a very heartbreaking one. This is very angsty, and it's contemporary romance, and it is The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This is a flashback book, so you got set now and set a decade ago. You've got this girl who lives at this beach town, and her boyfriend is the pastor's son. She lives with them because she's got a bad home life and they've taken her in, sort of thing. But her boyfriend brings home this guy from boarding school who's like super mysterious and dark. She might start falling for him too. And then you've got like the set in now. She has to come back and she has to deal with what happened in the past. And it's very angsty, and if you love angst, and if you like, it gave me OC vibes, so if you like OC, you might like this book too. Next book with the love triangle, we've got Legend Born by Tracy Dion. This was such a fun book. Arthurian folklore. We've got Bree, who goes to this university. She's only like 16, but she takes this accelerated course because she's like super smart. And she goes to this university. She finds out there's like a secret society at this university, and they're all saying they're like the descendants of King Arthur and such. And while she's there, she finds out that the curse that her mother kept talking about before she died is a real thing. She's dealing with the grief of the death of her mother, and also realizing she might have some sort of magic because of that. And she's also caught up between these two boys in the secret society as well. This is a lot of fun. The third book just came out. I haven't read it yet, but I've read the first two and I had lots of fun. Another contemporary romance I don't have a copy of, but I think it's like top tier love triangle, is What He Doesn't Know by Candy Steiner. So this book does have the cheating trope in it, and if that bothers you, then obviously don't read it. But this is about this woman and her husband have been dealing with the grief of losing their twin sons. I believe it was a miscarriage, or it might be like newborn. And so they're both dealing with their grief separately, and they're not coming together, and they're in a rough patch. And so when the wife's old flame comes from the past, I believe it's her brother's best friend that she had like a major crush on in high school, he moves back to town and they start getting close. And so it's between, the love triangle is between her husband and her old high school crush. And because he is, I think he's the new piano teacher or PE teacher, and she's like the kindergarten teacher, and so that's why they get closer. I have not read the sequel to this, so I'm not sure who she chooses, but I do know the third book is about the person she doesn't choose, but I haven't read the synopsis of that, so I'm glad I haven't been spoiled. But if you want like angsty romance, I think that's another book that you should read. And then last but not least, we've got Gravity by Sarah Kate. This is such a fun book. She does choose one at the end, but she kind of is with both for a little bit, but she can only choose one. And that is between her dead sister's ex-boyfriend and his dad. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Also, helicopter scene. If you know, you know. All right, next prompt for Vampire is blood on the cover or in the title. I've got two separate stacks for this, blood in the title, and then I've got stacks for blood on the cover. First of all, we've got House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City. She is chunky, but she is good. You've got a half fae, half human who is just loving life. She's busy partying up until tragedy strikes and her best friend dies, this like brutal murder. No one finds out what's happened. No one knows what happened. And then like a year later, no, it's 2 years later actually, she's still haunting the nightclubs just to try and feel something. The murders start again, sort of FBI, but this like fallen angel who like works for the angels. Anyway, he and Bryce join forces to try and find the murderer and try and solve the case. So it's like murder mystery, it's urban fantasy, and it's a good time if you like thick chunky books. Next we have the sequel to Legendborn, which is Blood Marked. So if you've read Legendborn and you thought that was amazing, you should then pick up Blood Marked. It goes on with more of the love triangle. You've got blood in the title, black main character, and written by a black author. You wouldn't be able to do love triangle for this one if you wanted to do blood for this one, if that makes sense. And then we've got Blood and Steel by Helen Shurer. This is a romantasy about Althea, who has for years dreamed of becoming like a warrior legend in a world that doesn't allow women to become warriors or hold a weapon because of some prophecy ages ago that said a woman with a sword or whatever will like ruin the earth or something like that. Because of something that happens, she is able to start training again, and she starts training under one of these like mythical, like super amazing warriors, and the romance is between her and him. There's 4 books in the series. I've only read this one, but I really enjoyed this one. She's pretty badass, and I'm very excited to get to the rest of the books. All right, next is books with blood on the cover. So you've got You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. This is based at a summer camp. And it's a slasher horror. It's a summer camp where it's like where they reenact this like brutal murder that happened there ages ago, or it was a movie or something. And then the reenactments end up becoming real life. And so she has to try and save herself. And yes, so there's blood all over her, if you can see that. Next, another Kaylin Bayron. We've got Cinderella is Dead. This was such a good book. This is sapphic, by the way, so it would work with LGBT main character as well as black main character and BIPOC author, and blood on the cover. So she's got some blood on her dress, I feel like, or her cheek. Could be blood, it could be dirt, but it's a reimagining of the Cinderella story. I liked this take on the Cinderella story, that's for sure. That's such a pretty cover. I love Kaylin Bayron's covers so much. Next, this is actually one I haven't read, but there's blood on the cover, and that is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abika Iyamide. You see the letters are sort of bleeding there. But this is one I've been wanting to read for so long, and I thought if I put this in this video, I would have to read it. So I think this is like dark academia. It's a horror. That's really all I know. Last, for blood on the cover, we've got Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the UK cover where the cleaning spray is spraying blood. Because our main character is a crime scene cleaner, this is based in COVID times where someone is targeting Asian people. There is a like ghostly aspect to it as well, and I had a very good time with this. So if you like any of those words, pick this up. Next prompt is Ring on the Cover. First, we've got King of Wrath by Anna Wang. That is a ring because this is a marriage of convenience. Well, look, I don't think they really get married, but they get engaged because her father wants to control her and Vivian doesn't really want to do that. Vivian's dad is Dante's new enemy, so he's like, I'm gonna marry your daughter and ruin you from the inside out. They fall in love. Not the dad, but Dante and Vivian. Anyway, if you like Anna Wang, if you like romance, if you like billionaire romance, this is the series for you. Another, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's a sex club owner, and this is Praise by Sarah Kate. Emerson is wearing a ring right there. So even though you might not be able to get this cover, I'm pretty sure Praise would still work because it's an alternate cover. But this is about Charlie. Her and her boyfriend have broken up. They owe money to her ex-boyfriend's dad, and so she goes to give it to him. She goes to his house to give him the money, but he mistakes her for one of his new submissives. And so she kind of goes along with it, and then when he realizes that she's not actually submissive but his boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, because they never met, he's kind of like, what the fuck? But he's like, you were really good at that, so if you need a job, I mean, I've got one. Like, I need an assistant. And so she becomes his assistant, and it goes from there. You explore a lot of like BDSM dynamics. I love this series with my whole heart. Another book with a ring on the cover. This is the UK cover. I'm not sure what the US cover has, but that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This book does deal heavily with grief, and it's very sad, but I really enjoyed it. This, obviously, she's holding a ring here, and I said it deals with grief. Make of that what you will, but this is a romance, and I guess it would be a love triangle as well, because there is sort of conflict between her lover and his dad. And this is bi for bi as well, and black main character, black author. So wait. Queer, black main character, black author. So that's 3, so that's 60, and ring on the cover, so that's 110 points right there if you want to use it, just FYI. There is a ring on the movie cover for Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng right there. If you can see it, she's wearing a ring, but I really enjoyed this book. So if you need a book with a ring on the cover, there you go. Another book with a ring on the cover, and you can also use for black author and black main character, is A Song of Race and Ruins by Roseanne A. Brown. Really hope that that's a ring there. This is a YA fantasy set in Africa, and it was a lot of fun. I loved the magic system, and I really enjoyed the characters, and I just had a lot of fun with this book. So if you haven't picked it up yet, I really do recommend it. All right, now I'll go into some of the community prompts. Obviously, I've talked about, for BIPOC author, you could read Roseanne A. Brown, you could read Akwaeke Emezi, Anna Wang to double up your points, or you could read The Scent of Us by Eliana Lee. This is Omegaverse, and Eliana Lee is Asian Australian, but this is Omegaverse, so it's white shoes, and it's really fun if you like that sort of thing. The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest is a like fake marriage romance. They kind of get married in Vegas, but then they kind of laugh it off. But then she has an interview, and she kind of says her husband in it, and so they have to fake getting married. They have to like be fake married, and it was a lot of fun. It's like forced proximity and like hurt comfort and all the good things. We've also got R.F. Kuang, or Rebecca F. Kuang, for BIPOC author as well. This is Yellowface. This was a book that I think everyone should read. I really do enjoy. I've only read The Poppy War and this book by this author. I'm too scared to start Babel, if we're being honest, but if you want to read that, that's true. Anything by this author would work. Tia Williams is another BIPOC author that I enjoy, especially 7 Days in June. This is Second Chance Romance. They're both authors, and they've been like writing love letters to each other in their books for years, and I loved it. Nick Stone is also another BIPOC author that I really enjoy. This one is YA, and it's about Rico, who pretty much has to look after her younger brother while her mother's at work, and she kind of works part-time at this gas station to help pay the bills as well. But when she sells a jackpot winning lotto ticket and the money goes unclaimed, she thinks her luck has changed. She thinks if she tracks down the winner and they will say, oh no, I don't need that, she will get the money. I don't know, but it's about her story about how she like does all these things to track down the winner, and a cute boy comes along the way too. So that's works for BIPOC author and black or indigenous Indigenous main characters. Set in Illinois or Virginia. This one was hard. I don't think I've read anything set in those two states, but I looked online. Oh, actually, I lie. I read Purple Book. I think it's Play Along by Liz Tomford, which is part of the Windy City series. That series is all set in Chicago. They're a sports romance. Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle is also set in Illinois, as well as Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Menensala. So that's like a cozy mystery with Filipino rep as well. LGBTQ plus main character. You could use Loveless by Alice Oseman, which features asexuality. You could read Can I Steal You for a Second by Joni McAllister, which has sapphic rep, and they're based in The Bachelor in Lockdown. You could read Anything by A.K. Mulford. She is the queen of representation in their books. River of Golden Bones is Shifter. The main character realizes that they might not, like, then they don't feel right being labeled as female, and she goes through that in this fantasy world. You've got Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist, where the main character, while trying to get over her ex, accidentally summons them because they died, all the while trying to get with the new girl in town. This is very like autumnal, so if you love like Halloween Town inspired stuff, this is definitely a book to pick up. And then the first book in Ali's Zookeeper series is She's a Keeper. This has bisexuality representation. All of them have different sexuality. So you got bisexual. The second book, Easy Tiger, has pansexuality. The third book, Party Animal, is lesbian, and the fourth book, Crocodile Tears, is demisexuality. I believe the fifth book is asexuality. I loved it. They even talk about in Crocodile Tears how the mum is all her children like have different sexualities, and she's like collecting them like Pokemon cards or something like that. I don't know. It was funny. You could also read Pucking Strong by Emily Rath, which is male representation as well as a black main character. And that is it for my recommendations for the vampire prompts for Mystic Readathon, as well as the recommendations for the community prompt as well. Let me know down below if this helps at all, if you're going to pick up any of these books for the readathon, and if you're going to be joining Team Vampire. If you got to the end of this video and you have nothing else to say, obviously put a vampire emoji in the comments below, because why not? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos by me. You can also add me on Goodreads, Instagram, and Storygraph, and TikTok. It's all at Sash Reads, except for TikTok, which is an extra S on the M. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye!